On my writer journey so far, I've come across a lot of shiny objects that fight for my attention and time. Social media, apps, writing courses, even podcasts fight for your time. It's easy to get so wound up and so caught up in all of these things that you don't take time to actually write. And isn't that the point of being a writer? Let's talk about it today on the Ronin Author. Hi, welcome to the Ronin Author. I'm your host, Ryan McGinnis. I am the owner of S&D Designs and a self-published author on Amazon. I created this podcast to be, to sort of go along with me as I explore my writer journey, my author journey. I'm not a guru. I'm not an expert. I don't always get things right, but I wanted to journal it all here in this podcast and maybe use it as a sounding board to talk to you and see what your experiences are. In the end, really, I just hope that this podcast, The Ronin Author, ends up being a sort of support group for self-published authors because like the Ronins in feudal Japan, we walk a pretty lonely road sometimes. So anyway, this week I was thinking about all the shiny things I've come across in my author journey. I've been a self-published author ever since my first book came out in 2021. Before that, I'd had a short story that got published on Mandatory Midnight, but it wasn't until 2021, once we got past the pandemic, that I really started getting into it. In 2021, I came out with Tears of the Dragon. In 2022, I released the short story, The Musician's Daughter, followed by The Osiris Initiative, my second novel. In 2023, I released The Delicate Art of Death and The Firefly Collective. And then in 2024, I released The Silent Death, and that would have been in the fall of 2024. And over the course of all that time, I've went through a lot of phases and tried a lot of different stuff, As we've talked about in previous podcasts, I started out doing basically just ads and Twitter and maybe a little bit of Facebook, I kind of changed, and a newsletter. That's the one thing I've done the whole time is a newsletter. But I've done, I've went through phases where it's Facebook ads, Facebook, Twitter, newsletter. I've done Facebook ads, TikTok, Facebook newsletter. I went through a period of time where I was doing no ads. And during that time, I did a blog, Facebook, TikTok, and a newsletter. And now in 2025, I've finally evolved into, I decided to spend most of my time working with video, hence this podcast, as well as other stuff that I'm doing. And so I was basically doing YouTube, Reels, and TikTok. And I've learned a lot, and during that time, earlier this year, I even started a side business, 217 Press, which is a Etsy store that was powered by print on demand, as a retail store. I've never done that before. So it's just one of the experiments, one of the things, that I found, that I wanted to try because that's kind of the life I lead. I like to try stuff. I like to do different things, but anyway, here's something I found interesting. Everyone says reuse your content. If you do a video, then do, short form videos, blah, blah, blah. And I do that. I do this podcast. I release a lot of short-term videos, or short-form videos, I should say, on YouTube Shorts. I also release them as Reels on Instagram and Facebook and sometimes on TikTok. And what's really funny is that even though everybody says that's what you're supposed to do, since I switched my Facebook to be mostly videos, my engagement has tanked. It has absolutely tanked. Even, so maybe I need to just do mostly written content on Facebook because that seems to get more attention. But it's just something weird to think about. And also, but the thing is, you get so busy. The second thing that I figured out is that you get so busy with all these shiny objects. And when I say shiny objects, I'm talking about social media. I'm talking about TikTok. I'm talking about, Reels. I'm talking about shorts, maybe even this podcast. You get so busy, you get so absolutely tied up doing all these things that you forget to do what you're supposed to do and what makes you interesting. And that's right. Because if you're a writer and you're not writing, what's the point? I've spoke about this on a previous episode when I was talking about doing the organic marketing, when I did all organic marketing and had no ads. But the thing is, it's really easy getting stuck chasing clout. And when I say clout, I'm talking about, oh my God, my video got 10,000 views on, TikTok, or, oh, I got like 50 likes on Facebook, or, somebody shared my video here or there. How meaningful is all that stuff in the scheme of things? I know it's branding, I know it gets your name out there, but as we've mentioned in previous episodes, when I try things all organic, I get a lot of likes. Yeah, I've got this huge reach and everything, but it doesn't really sell books. I mean, when it comes down to it, you're a writer. You're a writer, and that's what you need to do. But you got all these like shiny objects, all these glittering prizes, as I said in the title, that get your attention and fight for your attention. And it's like, and then next thing you know, you're spending all your time making videos, and you're spending all your time, regurgitating the content and doing all this stuff. And really, what you need to do is write. You always have to have time to write. And if you don't have time to write, eliminate stuff until you do have time to write. Because the thing is, my engagement always spikes when I have a new book coming out. And the lesson I've learned from that is that nobody's interested in a writer who doesn't have a book coming out. I mean, you might be a charming guy, you might be a fun girl, you might be, a really magnetic personality, but, that's rare. Really, most of the time people watch our stuff to hear about our books because they read our books, because that's what they're interested in. And so I feel like you're never more interesting and more engaged with people than when you've got a book coming out, because that's what they care about. They care about your book coming out. They don't care what you had for breakfast today. They don't care that you're hanging out on the beach. Not really. They care about your book, So, the high that I get also, this is another thought, the high that I get launching a book and putting it out there for everybody is much higher and much more worthwhile than the high I get getting a bunch of views on social media. Because I've figured out, I mean, if I get a bunch of likes on social media, and this probably sounds old school, but, I'm Gen X, whatever. But, I can get a bunch of likes, I can get a bunch of shares, I can get a bunch of whatever, comments, engagement, whatever you want to call it. My reach can blow up. But if it's not selling books, is it helping me? And the answer is, I don't think it is, So I'm going to kind of realign things, like almost 6 months, almost halfway into this year, I'm going to realign things and do some realignments. And so here's what I'm going to do. I am going to, I'm going to streamline. Okay, I am streamlining my businesses. I'm cutting out stuff that isn't working. And that means, and this is the only place I'm going to announce this, but effective June 1st, I'm closing 217 Press. The retail t-shirt store has always been a dream of mine. I've always thought it'd be awesome. I've always designed shirts. I love designing shirts, but I just don't have the time or the bandwidth to do my author business, my main business, S&D Designs, and the t-shirt business. I just can't delegate it. It's not bringing in enough revenue. And so 217 Press is going away, which also means the end of my other podcast, which is Adventures in Pod, which some of you may also watch. I don't know. But Adventures in Pod and 217 Press are going to be over at the end of March. Going forward, I'm going to focus on my business, S&D Designs, and I'm going to focus on my author career. And when I say focus on my author career, I don't mean I'm just going to sit on here and do videos talking about writing or what I have written or whatever. I'm going to write. And even if that means not putting out as many videos, I'm still going to do the podcast. I'm still going to do the Ronin author. But I am going to spend a lot more time writing and doing things focused on my writing and on my books and on getting new stuff out there. The podcast will continue. My main focus will be writing. And my day job, S&D Designs, my web design marketing company, because that is the bread and butter. Everything else, like if S&D Designs doesn't work, I don't get to do any of this other stuff. So we're refocusing S&D Designs at the top, the writing just under it, and we're going to actually focus on the writing and and do some videos and have fun. I have a work in progress. It is a thriller, but it is also a science fiction thriller. It's different than the Xavier Green series that I've been writing. And, I was working on it, and famously, I've talked about it in several episodes that I just got bogged down by existential dread and all the bullshit that goes on in the news, and I've neglected it. So we're going to get back on that work in progress. We're going to try to kick it into gear and get it in overdrive and get it moving forward. And we're going to try to get that book into production to come out later this year, so that I don't miss a year. I don't have a year where I didn't put a book out, I see people talking about, oh, I put out a book a month, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, I have no idea how you put out a book a month, unless you're not editing them, unless you're, using AI or something. I mean, I don't know. I can't put out a book a month. I put out, I try to put out, the most I've put out is 2 books in a year. So, that's been my max. So I would like to put out 3 books in a year. I think that'd be cool, but I haven't been able to do it yet. So this year we're probably gonna have to settle for 1 book, just like we did last year. But we're gonna try to get things in gear. We're gonna focus. I'm not gonna get distracted. I'm gonna stay on what I'm supposed to stay on, which is writing. And I've committed it now. I've spoke it. I've spoken into existence. I've said it to all of you guys. So it is official, and I'm committed, and you guys hold me to it, because that's really it. I mean, that's the point of this episode, is just to talk about, don't get so caught up. To summarize, don't get so caught up chasing these glittering prizes and doing all these fun things and doing all these apps and writing courses and, oh, I got to do this and I got to take so-and-so's course. Write your book. You'll be way better off. Concentrate on writing your book. Concentrate on writing more books. Keep putting stuff out, because that's how you're going to get your name out there. Put your stuff out there. Keep promoting your new stuff, and just go for it. And so that's what I've decided to do. That's how I'm moving forward. I'm committed to it. You guys hold me to it. And that's the episode for this week. That's what I wanted to talk about with you guys. Like I said, this is, this podcast is like a video journal for me. It's like I get to talk about my author business and what's going on and how I feel about the writing business and all that stuff. And I probably will talk about, I think next week I may talk about Amazon and their change of royalty rates, because that's kind of interesting, and that will affect one of my books. But we'll talk about that next week. But if you enjoyed the show, please give us a like, give us a subscribe. Hit the notification bell so you get notified when we come out with new episodes. And hang in there till next week. Everybody have a good week. I'm back from vacation. I'm working. I'm doing my thing. And we will talk soon. Have a good week.